Hello and welcome at ePIG-Tails. My name is Eric and my guest today is Jimmy from the Black Trident Academy. We talk about his life at Special Forces and how it is now living in Europe. Have fun. Equipment, preparedness, intelligence, guns. Hier ist ePIG-Tails, der Podcast von ePIG. And here we are. And hi and welcome here at ePIG-Tails. And I am so happy to have this guest today. Welcome, Jimmy Cannon. Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good, buddy, and thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to do this too.
Yes, yes.
This is like my first podcast over the computer. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it will be. So, who is Jimmy Cannon? And the name may suggest it, but you're not in the adult film industry. So,
no.
Jimmy, Jimmy, because perhaps some of our guests, well, I think the name will be something like we talked to this awesome guy. But would you introduce yourself a little bit to the audience and to me, of course?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. My name's Jimmy Cannon. Let's see. I just retired about 1 year and 8 months ago.
Okay.
After serving 26 years in the military, in the Army.
26 years. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a long time. I started right when I was 18.
Yeah.
I wanted to get straight into the Army. My dad was like really against it. I'll save that for a little later. But yeah, I started out in the 10th Mountain Division. I went to the 82nd Airborne. Then from there, the 173rd. And then during the invasion of Iraq, that's when, during working with Task Force Viking, we were OPCON to them, a bunch of 10th Group guys. And then I just got motivated. And as soon as I got back from the war, I went and tried out for Special Forces in 2004 and then completed the qualification course. And then my first duty assignment with 10th Group was actually 110 in Stuttgart, Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this was very brief, but I think we could talk
hours,
about every tiny bit for hours. And believe me,
absolutely.
I will ask questions and
go ahead.
We will see. Okay, but where have you been born and raised, if you may say this?
Yeah, absolutely. I was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cincinnati. So you're a Bengals fan.
Oh, absolutely.
Ooh.
And back in the 80s growing up, it was like inner city Cincinnati. So that was my first, view on the world of like how hard life can be, especially, kids are really mean to each other, and, my dad, he was a machinist.
Okay.
He worked in at Cincinnati Gear actually. Mm-hmm. And the job actually transferred him to Los Angeles. So we went from inner city Cincinnati to Hacienda Heights, Los Angeles, California.
Yeah.
I was there for like second and third grade, and then we moved back to Cincinnati.
So we have to stop here. So I'm sorry to say to you, but I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers.
No, you're fine, buddy.
Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So
oh man, no way! I should just turn this thing off now.
Okay, but we will get along. So
I'll
I'm a German guy, born and raised here. So I have some prejudices or thoughts about being in the States and. Going to LA in this age doesn't sound too bad. How was it for you? Of course, it was going away from home.
Yeah.
So how did it feel?
So it was predominantly in a predominant Hispanic area, Hacienda Heights.
Mm-hmm.
My father, he didn't make much money.
Yeah.
He was just a basic machinist, and he just worked his ass off trying to get elevated in the position there with Cincinnati Gear.
Yeah.
He was also attending night school here and there, to get like these higher qualifications. Yeah. So we lived in, as a kid, all you want to do is just play with toys. And I think it was He-Mans and Voltrons and stuff back then and G.I. Joe. And, so to a kid, I was really indifferent, race and religion and all that stuff. I was super indifferent to it. But, most of my friends were Mexican. I had one Chinese friend and, but it was just indifferent to me, that none of that stuff was a thing. But I just knew that, I was different because I looked different, but it didn't faze me. I was super I had a really good friend named Teddy, and going over to his house for his birthday was the next level. And if you know anything about going to a Mexican birthday, it's insane.
Yeah, it should.
Yeah, and it was just like, whoa, man, you know, it was really crazy. So we were great friends. That, you know, I always wonder like where he's at these days. You know, this is back in the 80s.
Okay.
And then we left L.A. It was right before the World Series when the Dodgers went there, and the big earthquake happened in San Fernando Valley. So we left right before that, and then we were back in Cincinnati.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it was like 85 or so, something like that.
Okay, but being, you know, or having lived in California, did you had also... I'm not aware. I've never been to LA, to be honest. To this area.
Yeah.
So, did you had something from the ocean or from the beaches? Could you go there, or was it too far away to go there? Or
no, we actually live pretty close to Venice Beach. Where, like, when you look at the map there, it's not that far away. We go there on the weekends and go swimming. And, you know, spend time with the family and everything and play with other kids. And then going down, the boardwalk there at Venice Beach, you know, back in the 80s, it was crazy. I mean, there was people on roller skates, you know, the big dudes working out on the beach. Yeah. It was pretty wild. So to see that as a kid, you know, walking up and down the boardwalk, it was, you're trying to identify like what you want to follow or you're trying to see what you gravitate towards. Do you gravitate towards these guys like working out or like, you know, the roller skates or do you just want to throw rocks at other kids and, you know, have a rock fight, you know?
What path did you choose when you went back to Cincinnati? So did you took something with you from this Californication thing or when you came back, did the others still saw you as a guy from Cincinnati, or did they say like, that's a California guy now? Or
I guess one thing I brought from California to Ohio was a really good tan. You know,
I'm sure.
But I mean, the thing is like, you know, you got to understand, like going back and forth to all these cultures and living in different regions. I was very like always watching people. I really enjoyed it, and like identifying social networks.
I see.
You know, I could see that, and I try to stay open to many different like types of social networks. And that always fascinated me. And I think that was the birth of like my interest in emotional intelligence, meaning, you know, being able to walk into a room and know right away if you're welcomed or not, or, you know who's the friend or the foe in the room.
I understand.
So it made me really switched on as a kid.
Okay.
You know,
going back to Cincinnati, being in high school, what kind of high school kid have you been? Have you been more the introverted guy? Watching all that's what you know, or
so real quick funny thing leading up to high school, you know, I was in another school up to like 5th grade, but I was getting beat up all the time. You know, I'd throw a punch and, you know, go right to the safe position, take the shoe shower, you know, but so that was the trigger for my dad. Hey, we got to pull him out of the school. This was inner city Cincinnati back in the day, and you know, it wasn't the best. But we made do with it. My dad got another job as a bartender, and we ended up getting another house, and more in the suburbs. And going from inner city to like the suburbs of Cincinnati, it was completely different. I went from like a predominantly, you know, African American school to a predominantly like white school, and there was only a few African Americans there. So for me, it was just like, oh man, you know, kids were excited to learn and study and stuff. So. And then I had a bunch of farm buddies because this got me into like the country life a little bit, you know. And leading up to that, I go into high school, and the kind of kid I was, I tried to be, I guess you could say, on everybody's good side because I wasn't the biggest kid. I was kind of a small kid. I was a wrestler. I was really big into wrestling and marching band actually because I loved music. Music was always a huge part of my life. You know, my dad was into it, but the instrument I got stuck with was saxophone. You know,
but isn't it the coolest thing to get ladies laid?
I guess so. Get ladies laid. But I feel like standing on top of a smoky building downtown, you know, playing the saxophone,
especially in the 80s. You know, no 80s soundtrack without a saxophone. How cool is that? Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I also played a little bit of guitar. The guitar my dad had laying around, and his drum set.
Cool.
You know. And yeah, music I always loved. I try to form like a small band. I think the name of the band was Thesda. It was really, we had like a couple, songs that we would play. And yeah, but for the most part, I was the kid that always had to be outdoors riding dirt bikes. I was huge into motocross.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then paintballs came around,
really?
when the paintball guns came out, and yeah, just going out in the woods and shooting each other with paintball guns, riding around on dirt bikes, trying to sip a beer somewhere, without getting in trouble.
I see, yeah.
But I was relatively a pretty like well-behaved kid. I was pretty quiet at school, kind of shy around the ladies. I wasn't really like too confident around women, but at the same time, it's always, I was watching other people how they interact. I'm constantly studying.
Okay.
But I had a small group of friends. Yeah.
Okay.
That we were really close.
Okay. When I picture you as a kid, I wouldn't say like introvert, but as you said, like being on all of the sides.
Yeah.
So academically
absolutely.
means that you got good along. So no problems in school.
I would say academically, yeah, I passed my courses, but I didn't like apply myself 100%.
Okay.
I was not interested in school.
I see.
I just wanted to be, in the woods shooting guns all the time.
And is this where your decision going to the army came from?
A little bit, because I was heavily influenced by both of my grandpas.
I see.
They both died when my parents were very young.
Yeah.
So one man that was a heavy influence in my life besides my dad was my grandpa's brother, Uncle John. And Uncle John was, he was in World War II. He was in the Korean War. And then I think he saw some of the beginnings of the Vietnam for the buildup before he got out of the Army. I think he did like 24 years in the Army, and he married a German coming out of World War II.
Okay.
Yeah. Her name was Tekla, I remember as a kid.
Tekla.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you know where she came from? Like from which area?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I mean, she barely spoke English,
Okay.
at when she come over and
But imagine this,
watch us
like
kids.
being in 3 wars. Yeah. Well.
Yeah,
okay.
it's crazy. It's really crazy.
Really, really interesting.
And he was a signal guy. He wasn't like a gunfighter, but he was a signal guy. But he was attached to like some of the infantry divisions and stuff.
Okay.
Doing the signal thing, establishing communications and whatnot.
Okay.
But yeah, my grandma at the time would never let me talk to him about World War II. They would never let me talk to him about that. But every once in a while, I'd ask him about Korea or something, and I asked him if he ever, it's the question everybody asks: have you ever shot at somebody? And he said, "Yeah, we shot a lot of cows." Yeah. That's all he said.
Yeah, okay, I see.
But I could tell, and then he had my grandma had 8 brothers. And the seven of those brothers were in the Marine Corps. A lot of them were in Iwo Jima fighting. So all these stories, being around these guys, Uncle Dickie, Uncle Danny, Davy, the rest of them were dead. But Uncle Benny, a real quick, funny story. He survives the war. He comes home. He's playing football, stubs his toe, gets an infection, gangrene, and they had to cut his leg off after surviving the war.
Imagine that.
Really crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So I was just inspired by all these guys, and I knew I had to be in the military. My dad was not really, he was against the military. My uncle, his brother, he was never in the military. I mean, he was in a motorcycle gang in Cincinnati. Yeah, he was a bad dude, man. Even as a kid, he'd walk in the door and you just knew, you better behave.
I understand.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy. So we're talking end 80s at this time or beginning 90s?
For high school, or
what the area? Because I'm thinking like, because your dad was so anti-military, if it's linked to the time, like mid 80s, Cold
absolutely.
War,
So 100%. So you have to think, by the time I started socializing the idea of wanting to be in the military to my father, this was after Desert Storm.
I see.
So 91 or 91. And then in his mind, we're in like garrison army mode. So in his mind, the military is still like Vietnam, and he saw what happened to all those guys coming back from Vietnam.
Yeah.
And he didn't want nothing to do with it. They were treated, they were spit on.
Yeah.
And he didn't want me to be a part of it because he still thought that's what the military was like.
I understand.
Thinking
about going to the military for you, was there ever? Why did you choose the army?
Good question. So I think that was heavily inspired by my Uncle John, my great Uncle John. And I was really considering the Marine Corps because it was the tougher one, they say.
And it's the cooler looking uniform, isn't it?
Yeah. But actually, when I actually went fast forward, when I actually went to the recruiter's office, I did walk into the Marine Corps recruiter office first. And I said, I'm here, to sign up. And the guy looked at me, he's like, you ready to be a man? And then I just turned around and walked out, and I walked into the Army recruiter, and then that's where there was a little bit of fear, like, what the hell is this,
I understand.
And I kind of thought I was a man, I was young. I thought I had it all figured out, but I didn't.
Okay. Well, Marine Corps has a pretty cool branding, I think so. Or, from the brand perspective.
They did. They had a cool sword video at that time,
I remember this. Or I know this from video clips. How you said you were mostly like outside, but still had movies and watching military movies also something to do with it? Were you influenced by that?
I mean, of course. I mean, there was like the Predator. Of course, everybody likes Predator. That was a good one. Rambo, watching Rambo a bunch of times. GI Joes were always around. I always had a bunch of GI Joes.
Heartbreak Ridge came out.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that one like right when it came out. Because back then everything was on VHS tape, and it was just kind of hard to. And my dad was like pretty bad about like, hey, no rated R movies. But my first rated R movie I saw in the theaters with him was Terminator 2. That was crazy.
How cool is that? Watching this in cinema, great.
Yeah, my actual first movie that I can remember as a kid was seeing Return of the Jedi, Star Wars.
Really?
And that was insane.
Wow! My son is 8 years old, and and I watched with him like the first movie, and
really?
And I thought about it like how would it be like being back? Well, I was born 82, so it was before I was born. But being in a cinema and then see these huge spaceships, and you've never seen something like this before in the cinema, must be crazy. Must be amazing.
Insane. I mean, George Lucas knew what he was doing.
Indeed, he did. Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay, so the Army it was. So Air Force was never. Thank you very much. So just to give you a quick, this is my beret. So I served 12 years in the German Army.
Awesome.
But now we get to the other point. Being Pittsburgh Steelers fan and being a captain. I'm sorry for that.
Oh my God, what's happened to you?
Sorry for that,
man. Oh my.
Sorry for that.
That's all good. So, it's all good.
Okay. So Air Force was never. You never thought about being going to the Air Force?
Actually,
really?
Let me hit on that one and the Navy because the Air Force. When I saw Top Gun, I was crazy about fighter jets. I had fighter jet posters like all over my room. F-14 Tomcat, man. The SR-71A Blackbird, the F-18 Hornet, the F-15 Eagle. I mean, these were icons, and that was all because of Top Gun. Yeah. And then I would say when the movie came out, Navy SEALs with Charlie Sheen, I was addicted, and that was the thing. I also wanted to be a Navy SEAL. Yeah. I was like so caught up into that.
Okay.
Oh man, I was so caught up in that, and then I ended up in the Army.
Funny thing. Even here in Germany, we have like in our history. We are not too good with our military because of the Second World War. So it's, and
I understand.
My generation, bit plus minus, it doesn't make, but we grew up with American movies. So I wanted to join the Army. I wanted to join the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Knowing that it's not working, of course, but still, we got influenced by the movies and as I said, the branding of the Marines and stuff like that. So, Full Metal Jacket, how crazy this movie is and how intense, but how powerful is it? Apocalypse Now, all these movies.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I understand, like in Navy SEALs, the movie, the first scene where they shoot with the 50 caliber through the wall, and it was like,
oh yeah, yeah. Especially when he's like, "This is God," you know.
yeah. And
his call sign was God. You know, that's insane.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
So, and you ended up being in the army or going to the army, and do you wanted to join infantry? Was this your thing? So you never wanted to do anything else, like which would make more sense, because some of the people say going to the Navy has better benefits, being in the Air Force has better benefits and stuff like that. So
absolutely. I mean, the biggest thing that I was turned on was probably the brochures that they had, and it was at our high school during lunchtime. Sometimes they'd have some recruiters come in, they'd set up a little stand, which was crazy. They would just come straight to the school.
Wow.
And there was one that said Army Ranger. And the picture on this was just iconic. And I was like, this is what I want to do. This looks cool. This looks like really tough. He looks like he's in the woods right now. That's what I want to do. So when I was talking to the Army recruiter, I told him I wanted to be an Army Ranger, and he just started laughing. Yeah. And he's like, "You think you got what it takes to be an Army Ranger? Let me tell you something, you know." And I'm just like, okay, well, whatever. But this guy, the recruiter that I was talking to, he was a tanker.
I see. Oh.
You know, so he grew up in the mechanized world, but he was completely sold on trying to get me what I needed. And he said, "Hey, look over there. There's a rucksack. Yeah. You know, I just got done doing a ruck march today. See if you can go pick that thing up." And I remember grabbing this rucksack,
an old Alice pack or.
The old Alice pack, yeah.
Amazing.
And I remember grabbing this thing and putting it on my back and just thinking, God damn, this is something else. This is some next level. And these straps were just uncomfortable, you know. I was in the Boy Scouts, you know, for a little while, doing the venture cruise stuff. That's like kind of like, I guess, like the extreme side of the Boy Scouts a little bit. There was like an actual physical fitness test you had to pass. You did all these like pretty cool events, a lot of backpacking. Yeah. And, you know, through that, there was a lot of military structure. So I had an idea of like what the structure would be like. But yeah, putting this pack on, I'm just thinking, God damn, this was because my body wasn't developed like to carry. My body was developed to wrestle dudes, you know, and like and doing push-ups and sit-ups and stuff like that was no problem for me. No problem at all. You know, we didn't have any prep courses back then going in the Army. There was no PT programs. There was nothing. It was just you either can do it or you can't. And if you can't, you just got to keep doing push-ups every single day till you figure it out, you know. But I was sold on going there. And once I told myself I wanted to be an Army Ranger, then I was locked into it. Okay. And then my actual MOS they got me locked in for was 11X Airborne program.
Okay. Well,
so what that means is like the 11 series is infantry. The X-ray portion of it was open-ended. So back then you had, you had 11 Bravo, you had 11 Charlie, you had 11 Mike, and 11 Hotel. Okay. But I don't think they have the Hotel anymore or the Mike. But, you know, the Hotel was a tow gunner on a Humvee. Okay. And then the 11 Mike was mechanized. So driving the Bradleys, that was a big thing back then. And then Charlie's being the mortars, and then the 11 Bravos was light infantry. And that's what I wanted, but he couldn't guarantee me that. But I did get guaranteed airborne school.
Okay, cool enough.
Right after basic. And I asked him, hey, how do I get to be a Ranger? And he's like, when you finish Ranger school, you'll have a chance. There'll be some recruiters down there. Just go tell them you want to go to Ranger Battalion, and they'll get you over there. And then from there, you would join like RIP, Ranger Indoctrination Program, that it used to be called back then. I mean, you just think of that word, Ranger Indoctrination Program. Dude, that's so crazy, man. Like, and you know, when you look at the 3-letter word, it's RIP. You know, like God bless you. You know, rest in peace.
Or RIP from. And, I would say like nowadays it's RIP from Yellowstone. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But RIP, and then when I reading about this stuff, and then it's what did you say? It's like Ranger in. Indoctrination, like it's not enough that you're physically
your
fit.
Mind.
You are a Ranger from your mind. So indoctrination, crazy. Okay.
So they said, hey, when you complete airborne school, you'll have you'll have some time for that. Okay. You know, to go. So I mean, like fast forward going basic training. I told this on with some other guys. The very first day, like. especially, you know, once I told my dad I was joining the military, he was furious. He almost threw me off the roof. We were up there re-shingling the roof, and but he came to terms with it. I think he was more scared than anything.
Okay.
He was scared that he couldn't, you know, watch over me.
I see. I understand.
You know, or like be there to help me get through this next stage of becoming a man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
And guiding you through this this process. So yeah. And my mom, she was just terrified. You know, when the recruiters came, picked me up, they gave her a coffee mug and she burst into tears. And my dad wouldn't even talk to the recruiters. And I got in the van and we drove to the in-processing station in Columbus, Ohio. And then from there, they basically, you know, prepare you, make sure all your paperwork's straight, you know, that you're even eligible to join the military. Once you're good, then they flew me down to Fort Benning, Georgia for the infantry.
Wow, okay. So you
and that was crazy.
So you had basic training in Fort Benning?
Yeah, I sure did. That was like all the infantry guys went out, and it was only males at the time. There was no females allowed down there.
Same with me.
I think now it's all mixed and it's different now. Okay. But you know, back then it was completely different. I mean, your drill sergeants were coming from either Somalia, Grenada, Panama, some Desert Storm guys running around. Yeah. And they were just, it was just another breed of animals. But yeah, you know what? When I got there, when I was sitting in this in-processing, 30th AG, they call it at Fort Benning, and that's the in-processing station. They issue your uniforms, pretty much your packing list, sizing your boots and all this, and then they push you out to the different battalions. Yeah. And each one had a nickname. There was like, I was at 254, so that was Hell's Kitchen. And it was like 158. I think that was like Devil's Playground. Yeah. They all had something to do with hell and the devil. I'm like, what is this, man? You know, but you know, so you're already terrified. And I remember one night it was New Year's Eve. Yeah. It was 1997, New Year's Eve, and these guys kicked the door open. We're all in our bunks. It's probably like 2 or 3 in the morning. Yeah. It was definitely after midnight. And these two guys come running in, pushing people out of the bunks, punching people in the face. I'm thinking like basic training just started. I'm fucking terrified, you know. Yeah. There was a couple licks I took. This guy just jumping on the top bunk, you know, and just like trying to punch a couple near misses. Yeah. And then I just rolled out of the bed, rolled right into the push-up position because I figured that was safe. And they're just yelling and screaming and calling us every name in the book. And then they're gone.
Okay.
You know, the door shuts and they were gone. We're like, what the fuck just happened? You know, dudes are like fucking terrified. But what happened was it was actually some guys from 3rd Ranger Battalion. Oh, really? They were drunk. Yeah. And they came in and I think they knew the drill sergeants or something. Hey, you got like, you know, 5 minutes. Go give it to them. And it was crazy.
That was my question, and I was afraid that this would be perhaps even like drill sergeants, because sometimes things like this happen because they get drunk, and in the end, these are drill sergeants, but still they are young men, and not everyone is like the perfect, like what I imagine being a drill sergeant, like being top of everything, you know. Yeah. And then you know, getting drunk, and then now I will tell him who has the power, kind of. Okay. So, but how did you get along with military life? So back then, talking gear, still interested. So you got issued the old Woodland stuff, or?
Oh yeah, it was all the old Woodland BDUs, the battle dress uniform, and and you got issued 2 sets of summers and 2 sets of winters. And or maybe it might have been 4 and 4, but it was a combination of 2. But they always said, the infantry guys, especially the airborne guys, the drill sergeants, like, hey, you know, airborne infantry guys, they only wear summers all year long. And it's just like, oh man, you know, because the winters had a thicker material, and when you would starch them too, they would like be immaculate, you know. But he's like, that's what like pogues wear, you know, people other than grunts, you know, and so we never like wore the winters. They just stayed in my locker, and, you know, there for display. But so, and then we had the old LCE, the load carrying equipment, and my one that I got issued from my first unit from Fort Drum, I still have it to this day. I mean, that thing is so cool. Yeah, really cool. It's heavily modified, you know.
Yeah, we have to bring it if we make the video.
Absolutely. I'll bring it 100%.
Friend of us,
I still have that
friend of us, he's doing like gear reference on YouTube, and he's a real gear buff, and actually it was funny when you're talking about Predator in my other podcast. We watch this movie and then we analyze what they are carrying, and stuff like that. So it's really fun. So this is interesting to hear. And so being airborne, like these little bit, all washed out BDUs, this was a thing. Like it was not like that. You have to look like crisp like every time.
No, you would.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. You had to be crisp, especially in garrison mode. But in the field, I mean, they still required. They always wanted to brush shine on your boots because we all had the black boots back then. But the light infantry guys, like the real warriors, it was the green jungles is what you wore. If you saw a guy with green jungles, like he was a bad dude. You know what I mean? No. We called it snivel gear underneath the BDUs. No snivel gear. He's wearing summer BDUs and he's wearing green jungles. Hey, that dude's a bad mofo.
And this is that's the thing, like not having the smoker jackets under the BDU and not even wearing the M65, right?
Yeah. So you would have like the smoky jacket. You would have that like always packed in your rucksack. So there would be times to put it on. But when you were like, you moved out for a road march, it's like, hey, take everything off and it's just be miserable. And at Fort Drum, it was just so cold there. And then again, Fort Drum had their own uniform modifications they would do. Really? So I think like during certain periods of the year, you had to wear the Gore-Tex outer. It was the old Army issue BDU Gore-Tex. And then underneath of it, you had the Polypro, the top and bottoms. So, and never get too close to a fire wearing those things. Oh, man. Yeah.
So Fort Drum was then in 10th Mountain?
Yep. So that was my first duty station. I was in Alpha Company 187. And 187 had a notorious reputation for just hardcore training.
In Washington State or?
No, New York State.
New York State. I'm sorry. Yeah, New York State.
Yeah.
In the Adirondacks,
in Watertown, actually. In Watertown, actually.
Okay.
So very close to the border of Canada. You're really close to Kingston, Canada. A lot of guys would always blast up there because you could drink up there. You couldn't drink. I couldn't drink. I was 18.
I see. I've been there when we've been to the United States. We've been to Canada and then drove back and then. That's why I know the Adirondacks. I don't know if I pronounce it right. Adirondacks, the area, and New York State.
Yeah.
Okay. So for drum,
the beautiful area up there was the Thousand Islands. Yeah. Really amazing.
Really cool. Yeah. And are you familiar with German military? A little bit.
A little bit. Okay. Yeah. A little bit. Yeah. Absolutely.
Do you know about our like Gebirgsjäger, like the mountain infantry?
Yeah, the Bergfeuer.
Yeah, Gebirgsjäger. Is this comparable to 10th Mountain, what you're doing?
Yeah, something like this, but I would say the German military on that mountain level is more advanced. Because the only things we, at least back then, it was just like we could trek on skis. Okay. There wasn't much mountains in this area, so we never did a lot of mountain stuff. We just focused on light infantry training. Okay. But I worked with some of the guys from out of Mittenwald.
Mittenwald, yes.
Yeah, and Basti, if he's listening to this, he was the platoon sergeant out there. Those guys are amazing, man. Yeah. The level of proficiency in the mountains, man.
Yeah, they are
really good, solid guys.
Yeah, amazing,
solid.
Especially the Heeresbergführer, like the badge guys. These are really intense, and it's not easy. So. Now you had the light infantry life you wanted to live.
Yeah.
How did you like it?
Okay, so backing up, I just got to say something about airborne school. Yes. So I went to airborne school right after basic training, and then I went from just a bunch of dudes doing whatever they're told, all the same rank. We all looked like we're prisoners. Yeah. Now I go to airborne school. Yeah. Now you have people from different units. You had people from different branches of the military going there. You had different ranks. So I'm seeing stuff for the first time. And I'm still getting yelled at all the time because I'm just a private, And, so graduate airborne school. And then that was the time when the RIs came down.
Yeah.
And these guys had black berets at the time because the black beret was the sign of Ranger Battalion.
I know. I see.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they came out there. They were just screaming really loud. If any of you pieces of shit got the balls to come to Ranger Battalion, get your ass down here right now.
I see.
And, man, I remember looking out of the window of the barracks, and I was just like, I was intimidated by these dudes, but I was also like fascinated with them, you know. But you have to keep in mind, like I've been away from home, you know, and I'm still a young guy, and I had a girlfriend back in Cincinnati, and all that shit got the best of me, and I turned. That was my first biggest regret I've ever had in the military. I turned it down. I didn't go down there. You know, I wanted to go home to a woman that was cheating on me. You know, just young, stupid relationships. You know, and then and then from there I reported to the 10th Mountain Division, and when I showed up, man, I knew right away that these dudes were not to be fucked with. I knew that these guys train nonstop. They know everything about the FM 7-8, the field manual. They could tell you everything and anything about tactics, about infantry tactics. And I learned from I would say some of the most amazing NCOs I've ever worked with in my life.
Really cool.
And I learned so much. And that was like, to learn all that at 18 years old, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
I have a short question coming back to the Ranger guys, because this was a different time. Nowadays, when I think of a Ranger or most of Special Forces, that they are pretty bulky, pretty big nowadays. And back then, I think that like Rangers were more, you know, more not tiny, but you know what I mean, wiry.
Definitely.
Was it like this back then? Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, your average just infantry across the board. Nobody was fat. Everybody was super skinny. You could run like the wind. You could do push-ups. You could do sit-ups. You could do infantry shit, you know? And the thing is like PT programs back in the day were not as advanced as what they are now. Even supplements and even the diet or the know-how of, you know, even what the chow hall was serving. They were just serving like crap, you know, but you ate it, you know, you didn't know anything. You just, absolutely. But you were also burning calories like crazy because you were just nonstop moving all the time. But I could just tell, like, from the aura of these Ranger guys, you know, it was just, it was on a whole nother level. It was on a whole nother level. And I felt really bad when I went home, especially after I found out my girl was cheating on me. Man, I wanted to find that guy. And, but whatever.
I understand.
But yeah, man.
Okay, so, but did you enjoy army life, or was it like every day was like getting up and, you know, because it is, when you look back, it's amazing. When you look to it, it's amazing. But every time you had to have the rucksack again on your back, and you know, everybody wants to be infantry until it's time to do infantry stuff. But did you still kind of enjoy it, or was it like?
I guess at first it was pretty hardcore, because like you never had time off because you were a private. But I would say the time that I did have with the guys, like, I enjoyed it. I mean, you have to understand, like, the brotherhood that we had. It was just so tight, just like any armed forces that are out there. And even on the law enforcement side, it's just like you meet a guy, he's living the same life as you. You have the same struggles, you know, and you just have stupid stories to trade back and forth.
I understand.
Just to get you through some tough times. But for the most part, I really enjoyed it.
Cool.
I got to go play Army all week, you know, and then, and they gave me money and they gave me food. It was, I couldn't complain, you know?
So, how long did you stay in Fort Drum?
I wasn't there long. I was probably there for about almost a year and a half to 2 years, because my first sergeant at the time, he was from the 82nd, and he ran into me in the hallway, and he's like, "Cannon, you got airborne wings on your chest." He's like, "Why are you not at an airborne unit?" I was like, "I don't know, First Sergeant." He's like, "Get the fuck out of my face." I was like, "All right." So, and then a couple of weeks later, they used to call it a pursegram. It was like basically typed on a typewriter, and you tear this thing open, you open it up, and it's like a surprise. You're being stationed, you know, basically a change of station. And I had to change the station to Fort Bragg to the 82nd Airborne Division. And I had to report there at a couple months. So, you know, I was a young guy trying to do a PCS, a permanent change of station. You know, I had a couple duffel bags, an old Ford Bronco too, and I drove it down to Fort Bragg. it then processed, and next thing you know, I'm at the 82nd Airborne Division. I was at home of the Airborne, and then I in processed into the 1st of the 505th. So that was one Panther, they called it. And it was amazing. I mean, I had a great time there. But I'll tell you this, when I compare it to the 10th Mountain, I would definitely say I did more training at the 10th Mountain. I mean, the infantry stuff was just on a whole nother level. Okay. But still, the 82nd still trained at a very high standard, but you just did a lot of jumping. So because you're airborne, everybody walks around, big chest out, because it's like they took the next step of like the ultimate commando ladder, And that next step was to be an airborne soldier, because now you're just changing the method of infiltration, which was by parachute. And then I was there, and then a couple months later, I went to the pre-ranger course for ranger school, because I was basically starting to get groomed to be a fire team leader. I was a PFC. I went to pre-ranger. I passed, and then I had a weekend off, and then I went straight to ranger school. Cool. And then I was at ranger school. I had to recycle Derby phase. Okay. I failed patrols, but hey, whatever. They told me I wasn't aggressive enough, and as a leader. But you have to understand, I was a young kid. I was like 19, 20 years old.
And you've been a private first class, so you've didn't had any NCO training and stuff like that, right?
Nothing. Yeah. I was always used to being told what to do. And now you're grading me on like yelling at people and putting a boot in everybody's ass. So it was a bit, I guess I didn't know where I was, because in ranger school, there's no rank. Yeah. They kind of tell you that. Oh, really? Okay. But but I'll tell you this, when I recycled Derby and I came back through, once I recycled Derby, I went straight through ranger school, because I had this attitude. I'm like, I'm not doing this shit again. And I'm not going back without a ranger tab.
Really cool.
Bro, I was kicking helmets, and I did whatever. The best piece of advice was, hey, when you're in charge, be in fucking charge. When you're not in charge, be a good follower. And I just took that with me, and I passed ranger school because of that.
Really cool. So, but based on what you're telling, that means that you have been not an average, but a pretty good soldier. Pretty good infantry.
I thought so. I mean, I didn't have a choice, because I took, like, when I would get smoked, they called it, or when they were hazing me, and that was just a normal thing. But I took it in vain. I said, okay, hey, what I did wasn't perfect, or what I did was not wrong. And establishing this mindset or this discipline in you, especially at that age, you know what I mean? It's extremely important. So I developed this discipline for myself to perform very well at my job. Now, taking that same discipline, this is where the Army lacked at the time, and applying it to your personal life, there was none of that. It was just full send on the weekends with the guys,
I see.
And that's where the Army, I think, was wrong at the time, because there was no work and family life balance. It was just mission.
Understand. So, but still the foundation, like having a really good basic infantry, light infantry training for drum, then facing your fears, jumping out of a plane. So, going through ranger school, what I would say is, like, this, in the end, what comes out is a pretty well-trained infantry guy. So
100%. And I would say ranger school was my absolute turning point. When I came back from ranger school, I was a different person. At that point, I could tell myself I am a leader.
I'm sure.
Because ranger school, like, you're not going to learn anything sexy there. But what you learn there, you learn a lot about yourself, and you learn what it takes to be a leader. No matter what's going on, just facing adversity when you're tired, when you're hungry. Yeah. And this was a good introduction, especially, fast forward going into special forces. I already had that mindset going into it. So, coming back, Ranger tab, I was like 20 years old. I was a tab D.
So you had the beret, right? Still? You've been...
Yeah, the red beret, Marine beret, yeah.
And, you had your wings, you had your Ranger tab. Was it something special? Like, I think not everyone has this, right?
Yeah, so I also had an EIB, an expert infantryman's badge at the time. That was also and air assault wings. You know, so they used to call it the Tower of Power.
Okay.
You know, but you got to think, man. I'm like 20 years old, and I'm walking around with this Tower of Power. I thought like my shit didn't stink. You know.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, it was you know, I worked my ass off for that. You know, I didn't quit. You know, I could have took a totally different route in my life, but I did it. That's what gets these infantry guys, you know, essentially status. You know, achieving the next step or climbing the next rung in the ladder. You know.
So
I was proud of it.
What was to stay in this picture? So what was the next step then?
The next step was basically re-enlistment came up. So I basically was completing my 4 years of the military service. And then that's when they basically said, hey, you know, what do you want to do? You want to re-enlist, you know, or do you want to go home? They're not going to let me go home because the way they look at it was, hey, the Army just invested all this time into you, and they want their money back. But at the same time, they were like, you know, hey, man, you belong in the Army, dude. You know, you got a Ranger tab. That's not normal and stuff like that. So I really wanted to get out and just go to California and be a surfer and just like figure it out, you know, because I still have this like hippie wild side to me, you know, and just go figure stuff out. I actually also was really interested in the French Foreign Legion.
I see.
And I remember ordering a book from, I think it was like Amazon Books back then. Yeah. Nice, dude. Yeah. And because Amazon was just like doing books or something at that time. And it was like how to pass like the French Foreign Legion. Yeah. And I was reading up on that, and I was thinking about that. And then one day I just said, yeah, I had a strong interest in the Legion.
Was it because it was more exotic than being in the Army?
Yeah, I think it was mysterious, and it was in France.
I see.
You know, and so I went to the sergeant major, you know, and I said, hey, you know, I would like to go to Ranger Battalion. He's like, all right. He's like, that's too easy. So I had a rope date. ROPE was the acronym they used. So if you were an NCO, because I was at E5 at the time, you go to the ROPE course. I forget what it stood for. I think Ranger or something.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but it was ROPE. And and then I got pinpointed to 1st Ranger Battalion. So, yeah, I was super excited, and I felt ready mentally for it. I was ready to take it. Because like I said, Ranger School changed me. But I also had this curiosity with like getting over to Italy because there was a really small unit, airborne unit over there, but it was just like really hard. And they protected that. That was like an infantry paradise. You know, you had to know somebody to get over there. Yeah. But so he comes back about a couple weeks later and he's like, hey, Cannon, hey, you want to be a part of something special? They're starting up a brand new airborne brigade in Italy. They're bringing back the 173rd. And I was like, oh, man, the 173rd, because those guys were just gangsters in Vietnam. Yeah. But it was also a chance to get over to Italy. Yeah. And they needed people. I mean, and they needed NCOs to go over there and help start this unit up. Yeah. So, yeah, he talked me into going to 173rd. And then I left 82nd, and I'm on leave, you know. I'm in Cincinnati, and 9/11 happens.
Oh, really?
You know, so that was like the turning point. Like, oh man, you know, trying to figure out, you know, when do I report? Everybody's just thinking we're all going to war, you know, and this is a brand new unit, so I was clueless on like what was going on. But I finally get on a flight, make it to Italy, in process the 173rd as a sergeant, you know, Ranger tab and everything. So like, I didn't get messed with. And I just remembered I was comparing that experience to when I in-processed the 82nd at, what was it, 19th AG or something, I forget. But, it was just such a different experience, you know, in processing. You show up with that Ranger tab, and they're just like, you know, easy there, Buck Sergeant, but hey, you know, come on over here. You don't have to do this. Cool. So I go to the 2nd of the 503rd PIR Parachute Infantry Regiment, and that was under the 173rd Airborne Brigade. You had another battalion that was 1508, the Red Devils, and it was our two battalions, 1508 and 2503, and we were just always at war with each other, you know, talking shit because we were the new guys on the block. Because before it was only one battalion. Now you got these new guys running around. And man, it was like own your keep, you know. And I went to Able Company because and the 173rd, it's not Alpha Bravo Charlie, it's Able Battle Chosen, and then later Dog Company came on board. But I thought that was kind of cool. So, yeah, so I was over in an Able Company, standing up, just training nonstop, back and forth to Grafenwehr. We were always in Grafenwehr, Hohenfels, Vilsec, you know, all these like horrendous training areas, just mud, wet, cold. But it was a great experience. We did a lot of jumping. And I remember one night I was on staff duty. It's like a watch or whatever as an NCO. And Lieutenant Colonel Carosolo walks in. I remember this guy was a gangster as well. He walks over and he's like, I see you don't have a combat patch, you know, on your shoulder. I was like, yeah, that's right, sir. No combat patch here. He's like, and he leaned over on the desk. And he's like, that's fixing to change. And I was just like, okay, he knows something. You know, and I'm thinking like, are we going to war? Are we finally going to do this? You know, it was really crazy too when I was watching, you know, watching the guys go to Afghanistan was really tough because we're over here like doing all this training and you got guys over there in war. But Alpha Company 187 was in that initial push on Roberts Ridge. Was it Operation Anaconda? And that was my old platoon, that 3rd platoon. Really? That was the old platoon I was in. And it was just so crazy to see that. Like, I was there. You know, I was once there at that platoon. And, so really crazy to see that. Kind of disappointing on my end because I felt like – but, hey, fate has a – you know, that things happen for a reason.
I'm sure, yes.
Yeah. And then, you know, fast forward – I switched over from Able Company to the Black Sheep Company, and Black Sheep was headquarters, and I got pushed to the Scout Platoon.
Okay.
And that was something like it's kind of a hand-picked thing, you know, for the E4s and below. It's a tryout. But they made me a Scout TL. I was an E6 at the time.
Is it like the Scout Platoon?
It was really cool.
Like the Spezialzug in Germany, which do the pre-jumping thing, or was it more like recon?
It's all recon, So it's all eyes and ears, you know, getting out there before the infantry company. So each scout team was dedicated to a infantry company. At least that's how we did it back then. And, we also had the 74th LURS detachment at the time that was there. And they were essentially the scout element for the whole brigade. Yeah, so we worked a lot with the 74th LURS guys. They're good dudes.
But is there something like in the British Army? It's the Pathfinders who do the recon for the landing zones. Is it the same?
So the Pathfinders are really big with the 101st. The 101st had the Pathfinders, and I believe they had a LURS detachment as well. But for us, you know, we didn't have a dedicated unit called the Pathfinders, but that is a Pathfinder mission. But the way the 173rd worked it was you had scout platoons for infantry for a battalion. So I had one scout platoon for an infantry battalion, and then they had the brigade commander had the LURS detachment for the whole brigade, and they were about a platoon size element as well. But we all cross trained here and there. It was really cool because when you're a scout guy, you get to wear the booty cap, and then you see all the infantry guys wearing their helmets, and they just give you the dirty looks, you know. So it's like, hey, man, you know.
Again, you know, infantry-wise, stepping up the ladder, that's the thing,
A complete step up, you know, going from, you know, regular infantry to airborne infantry, and now to a fire team leader, ranger tab, now stepping up to being in a scout platoon. Because now it's just like you keep walking through these gates, you know what I mean, where no one else is allowed in. And it's really funny because now you're working with a different quality of soldier. And it was completely different compared. I mean, more professional guys that would just do anything, you know. So the gates just kept opening up. And if I had a chance to walk through it, I'd go walk through it, you know.
Pretty cool. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So while I was at the 173rd, you know, we got the word that we were going to invade Iraq.
I see.
And that was pretty crazy. We were going to actually jump into Iraq. We were going to get OPCON to Siege Sotif Task Force Viking, which was led by Cleveland at the time. and the 10th group guys were spearheading. They were the spearhead on that, and they went in on Operation Ugly Baby.
Okay.
You can look that up. They actually flew in on a plane, and they got hit with all kinds of bullet holes and stuff flying in.
Okay.
And they air landed, and those guys got out there and did the initial stages, prepping the DZ for 2 battalions to jump in, 900 and I think it was like 89 guys and overnight.
Wow.
That's just insane.
Yeah.
And it was 17, I believe it was 17 C-17s that did this jump, and it was insane, man. It was the most craziest thing. I mean, we went to Aviano to stage for the jump because we were all in limbo because the bombing campaigns were going on in Iraq. And finally, we deployed to Aviano, Italy, to push out. Yeah. And when we were there, we show up and we're going to dinner, and this guy's walking around playing Amazing Grace on the bagpipes and giving us steak and shrimp dinner. I'm thinking, what the hell are we about to do? You know?
So, but I think I've read some stories about Panama that in Panama that a lot of people wanted to be on the jumps because they wanted their
mustard stain.
Yeah, is it what? Yeah, but what is it?
So it's basically a star that's indicating you did a combat jump,
right?
But the infantry lingo was mustard stain.
I see. Okay, okay, really cool. Yeah. Didn't know that, but and some said that they were like all the staff guys, like all the office guys, they wanted to be on the plane to get this mustard stain.
Yeah,
was it
absolutely?
Was it like this too in this situation?
Yeah, there was definitely some bullshit happening with that. There was also people jumping that we didn't even know who they were. I mean, from different units and stuff. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. But I would definitely say that leading up to the jump and getting on these planes to go in and jump in another country, and you don't know anything about her. I mean, you're infantry soldiers. You don't know like the detail like special operations do. You know what I mean? Because they just know more because they get exposed to more intelligence and stuff. So in our minds, we're jumping into Normandy. You know. Yeah. But it was really crazy because nobody backed out of that jump. Wow. No one said I'm not jumping.
Okay, really.
Nobody got injured. That a couple sprained ankles, but no one. I mean, we were so proficient in jumping. That's all we did was airfield seizures and nonstop. But I mean, let me put this in a perspective. Yeah. There is a plaque that was made. It's probably in the 173rd headquarters somewhere to this date. It was basically the guys that went to jump school. You do 5 jumps in the Army static line jump course. Their 6th jump was a combat jump.
Imagine this.
Can you imagine this? This is like, for me, that's what's crazy. Like, hey, your next jump, it's not even like a training jump. It's into fucking combat, you know?
So I went to jump school here in Germany, but I've never been in an airborne unit. So, you know, I had my 5 jumps, and so I can really rely to like, okay, next jump is, you know, in combat gear in another country. Yeah. Think about that.
Absolutely crazy. Yeah. Putting war paint on your face. I mean, dude, it was just crazy.
Yeah, really. Okay. Yeah. So and this was then your combat experience?
Yeah, that was so we did do some stuff in Kosovo. I think that was around like 2002 or late 2001. Yeah. It was more or less a training exercise. We jumped into Kosovo, and then because the K4 mission was going on, so we were doing like we were out at Bondsteel, and then they pushed us into Fob Wolf, and we were out there. It was our platoon and a platoon of Russians, and we were out there with those guys. And those guys were pretty cool at the time. We were drinking with them and doing stupid private shit. You know, our platoon sergeant come out, you know, yelling at everybody, and. But yeah, then they would push us out from there, out to the outskirts, push us up to the Serbian border. And the first time I got shot at was from a guard tower on the Serb border. And it was just a warning shot. But it was just like, okay, so what do we do? You know, like there was no ROE talked about. It was just standard Army crap, you know, no one really knew. But we found a couple caches. That was pretty interesting up there, you know, trudging around near the border and trying not to step over the border because we had two guys that crossed the border on accident in a chow truck running some chow to the guys on the outskirts. And they snatched their ass up real quick. So they were in a holding area for a while, and there was a bunch of crap going on, but they finally got released. Wow. But that could have turned super ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Yeah, but yeah.
Okay. I'm sure there are a lot of stories.
Oh yeah.
But and I don't want to rush through it, but it's everything is really interesting for me to listen to, and for sure for our guys, for our audience out there. But still, you. When was the time when you said like, okay, now even the next step, and then joining the Green Berets, the Special Forces? So when was this?
So I would say during Iraq there was a lot of crazy firefights. There was a lot of just crazy shit that you're seeing for the first time. Especially like invading a country. It's different than going to a country, doing a deployment, doing some missions and stuff. But like you're invading a country. No one had, like a conventional invasion, you know? And especially back in 2003, the last time the Army was at war was Desert Storm.
Really?
And then, you know, some of the guys that went to Afghanistan here and there. But so I think just being around those SF guys, they got me motivated. And the one guy was just, you know, quick story. One of the young guys that was on the team, he later became my team sergeant, which was really crazy. Yeah. I'll leave his name out of it because he's still doing some operational stuff. But he was a huge influence on me. And basically, one of the SF guys said, "Hey, when you get back, you need to try out for Special Forces."
So, even for you haven't been what we say today. You have regular infantry, you know, airborne, let's say like step.
Yeah.
But in between there is like Ranger, that would be the next step. But still SF guys worked with you with infantry in this in Iraq.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Special Forces, they work with whoever they get their hands on, you know, and then they train them and they make them better, and then they, you know, use them, you know, to help basically get the mission achieved, right? So if you were to try to put all of this on the rails of a ladder, this is kind of like where two ladders start to form because basically like a high-speed Ranger, airborne, paratrooper, you know, wanting to go to the next step. And the next step for him traditionally would be either to go to Ranger Battalion or to go try out for Special Forces. Now, some of the guys that went Ranger Battalion, a lot of the Ranger Battalion guys, they were pushed to go to Delta. So it's like, because they worked with Delta a lot, you know, and they weren't really groomed to go to Special Forces. You would still have quite a few Ranger Battalion guys like jump back onto another ladder, you know, and come to the Green because they loved the mission. They liked it, you know. Yeah, they liked, you know, training and the unconventional warfare aspect. And then, but they were mostly pushed because they were very DA and CT focused. They were very heavily pushed to go to Delta. But you either stay in Ranger Battalion forever or you go to Delta. And if you went to the Green Berets, you were looked down upon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't really like a thing for Ranger guys, you know, to do that at the time.
Okay, interesting. For me, you know, looking from a distance, it would be like normal, like infantry or whatever, then perhaps Ranger, then perhaps Green Beret, and then perhaps Delta. So
yes,
but still,
and you're right, Eric. You're absolutely right. I would look at it that way as well. Like if you're trying to think what this pinnacle ladder would be. But hey, don't forget, you know, when you try out for the Green Berets, it's any MOS can try out for the Green Berets.
Right, I understand.
So there was just like all these secret badasses, you know, like spread out all over the Army. Even like the Army band had some badasses, you know. Shit, I think there was an Army band guy that went to Delta and became this ultimate badass. But yeah, if I was to like look at it, you know, from an outsider looking in, I would classify it like that, you know.
So, but still, did you, because, you know, when I think about what you told me, like about your life, And in my imagination, the Special Forces guys are, can I say that, the smartest? You know, if you have like Delta, I guess, you know, direct action, this is more like in this era, another kind of, you know, being proficient, but, you know, working with other people, not look down at them, but move them up and train them and make them better. This is more what I would imagine would be Special Forces, Green Beret job.
Your opinion's pretty valid, but I look at it a little bit differently, especially working with some of those guys across the fence. I would say this: Delta, it's the absolute pinnacle of the Army.
I see.
These guys, I mean, I don't even know how to classify it. I would say it is the best unit in the entire military. I mean, it's absolute complete professionals.
Okay.
And I'm not talking like I was there. I was never in Delta, but at the time I worked with many Delta dudes. I know so many guys that went to Delta, and these guys are just absolute perfectionists in their craft.
Okay.
I mean, think about this. If you were to tell a guy, and you know, because I actually asked that one Delta dude the same, like, hey man, you know, what's your opinion the difference between Green Berets and Delta? And he actually said it pretty good. He said, look, if you're in a wedge, like walking in a wedge formation, he's like, a Delta guy will hold the wedge formation all the way to and through the finish point. Whereas, like, you know, if there's a bush in front of you, like guys walk around it, like, no, it's like maintain a wedge no matter what, because the discipline is just insane. Now, like, when you look at Green Berets, these are the guys that are rough around the collars. And, you know, you got doctors and lawyers and dudes from all different backgrounds that go there where we just think completely different. Now, when you start looking at it from a CT focus, that's where the blend between the Green Berets and Delta is the CRIFs, or the CIFs that it's called. And that's like your hybrid blend, because, you know, Delta, they can't be everywhere and they need help. So it's like basically every SF group shaves off a company to be a crisis response company. And these companies are highly specialized, and that's like your taste. And a lot of guys will leave the CIF to go to Delta.
I see. Okay, I understand.
So, yeah, I started out, you know, I actually wanted to go Delta, just roll the dice and throw it on the table because anybody could try out.
Oh, really? So you don't have so Delta, you could also join from all brands?
Yes. Okay. Yep. So at least from the Army, you know, I think there were some qualifications. I think you had to at least be a E4 or something like that. It was the same for SF at the time before they stood up the SOP-C program. But, you know, I initially wanted to join Delta, and the Sergeant Major actually made a call. And but I had like 2 weeks to figure this out. It was much different, like the selection process. So basically, a phone call was made, and then it was okay. Hey, there's paperwork I got to fill out. But I had 2 weeks to tell my Sergeant Major a yay or nay, because I was on orders to go be a Ranger instructor at the Ranger School at 6 RTB. So I was intimidated, thinking I wasn't going to make it, and it got the best of me. Second regret that I had in the Army. And I decided to step down, and I was like, hey, because our commander at the time, our lieutenant colonel, he was also a driving factor for me to go special forces, because he said the future of special operations is special operations. So basically he's saying like the future of warfare, it's all in special operations.
It is, indeed.
And he saw this in like 2003. Wow. And he's walking around encouraging everybody to go try out for something, you know? Yeah. I thought that was pretty crazy. Indeed. But and then I tried out for the Green Berets instead, and I passed. I actually did pretty well, I think. I'm not trying to like toot my own horn, but
you can. It's okay. So you passed.
Yeah, I mean, I got called out, and they told me that, you know, I got some kind of recognition or whatever, but that doesn't mean anything. But at the end of the day, I was mentally and physically already prepared for this. You know, they gave me like this train up program. Hey, you should do this. And I'm looking at this like, I can already do all this. You know, I rode my guys hard. I trained hard. You know, I had war behind me. I had real world experience. I had a mindset that couldn't be broken. And I showed up, and I just sent it, you know, really cool. And I did good, and I got selected, but I knew I still had a lot to learn. I had a lot to learn about this next chapter. And then that was, going to the qualification course.
How was the qualification course? What was? Let's make because we could talk about this like in detail. Like every single step of your way is so interesting from Fort Drum, from your basic training to Fort Drum to everything.
It's a lot.
It
Eric,
is, and
I know.
Perhaps
it's a lot.
we stay in contact.
Another episode, we stay absolutely.
In contact. So we've Q course. Let's put it this way. Like, what was the biggest difference from what you thought it would be, and what was the hardest in the end? What would you say?
I would say, that's a really good question. It's kind of what I thought it would be, especially Robin Sage. That's our unconventional warfare.
Okay, let's go
portion.
backwards. Nowadays, you can have a look at YouTube. Everyone or most of the people.
Yeah, everything's on YouTube now.
Most of the people,
I wish they had that when I was there.
But you say Robin Sage, and I know something, or I watched some videos, but back then, it wasn't. Was it in the army that you knew what was coming?
It was word of mouth from other guys that already went to selection. Yep.
Okay.
So. Yeah, you show up, at least when I went through, it was phase 2, they called it. Phase 2 was your SUT phase.
Small unit
and that was
tactics,
basic,
right?
Yes. But me being a Ranger tab guy, that was a cakewalk for me. I actually got pulled off a few times just because, also the X-ray program was going on, the SOP-C program. So you had the X-ray. These were guys that were coming right off the streets that made all the initial qualifications. And, man, those guys had it pretty rough, especially in SOP-C. But you're trying to take an 18-year-old kid, or sometimes these guys are 24 with a college degree, and, take them straight to Special Forces. So it was like there were some learning curves with the program, meaning like, were guys actually mature enough to be in Special Forces? But what was really cool about it, you could program a guy right away. You could break him of all this infantry stuff and get him to think unconventionally right away. Yeah, so, phase 2, I thought that was it. It had some challenges. And the challenge, what I started to see was like, okay, hey, Jimmy, you know all this shit, whatever. But, hey, the challenge for you is to get these guys through this and be a good teammate that know nothing about the Army, and that was the challenge. So I made that challenge personal for me, and I looked at it that way, and I realized that was my mission, and this is what it's like going to be like to be a Green Beret,
like being more like a mentor, like being there.
Absolutely.
I see.
Yeah, and also like this is your indige that you link up with, and you got to train them, and you got to get them to be able to fight and pass. So after phase 2, I think we were the first program to do SEER school right after that. I want to say, so we did SEER right after phase 2. And this idea that they had was to keep you with the same group of guys through your whole way through the Q course, minus the Deltas because they're off at the Delta course for a while. So we get through SEER school. That was interesting, getting the shit beat out of you and no food for a while. But it was I learned a lot about myself. All this stuff is just making you mentally tougher. And also what I liked about SEER school, because you never really think about it, if you ever get captured, how real that shit can get real quick. And just having a little bit of things, a little bit of self-discipline to do certain things could basically give you another minute on your life, another minute. You're just buying time until a rescue team gets there, when you look at it that way. So SEER school, that was great. After SEER school, I was selected to go to the weapons course. So I was an 18 Bravo. That was insane. I thought I knew like guns from an infantry guy, but you get there, you don't know shit. The thing is like they called it lights and heavies. So you went through the first portion of lights, and then you had another half of the class they're doing heavies. Then you flip flop. And when you're doing lights, it's all the machine guns, rifles, pistols. I mean, every freaking gun you can think of, we had our hands on it. And you're basically just identifying what type of operating system it is and how to put it in operation.
Okay, I see.
And then knowing like all of the specs on the guns, so, what's the maximum effective range at a point target, at an area target, maximum, different rates of fire, all this stuff. And then you changed over to heavies, and heavies was all mortars. And the mortars was pretty challenging. I mean, because like I wasn't 11 Charlie, I was 11 Bravo. And then you basically are in this accelerated path to be a mortarman. And it was really insane. So after the weapons course, we then went to Robin Sage.
A short question about this. How should I imagine all the people out there? Was it more like fun trying out, or was there a lot of pressure? You have to know that, or was it in you that you wanted to learn? So was it more like an experience-based learning, or was it a pressure? If you know what I mean, like,
Yeah, absolutely. So actual SF selection, it was all pressure, and all of the pressure of yourself, it came from yourself. Like all this anxiety and everything, it came from all you had to do. Listen, they would just write stuff on a whiteboard. Hey, pack your ruck, this amount of pounds, be here in this uniform at this time. For me, that was pretty easy. But for guys that hasn't been exposed, I mean, I used to do the same to my guys, write on a whiteboard. Hey, be here at this time. And so for me, that was easy for me. But what was challenging is being around a bunch of guys that didn't know how to do, or having mental breakdowns. Like, oh man, this and that, and I didn't pack my rucks. I mean, but so the challenge was to put up with this shit, so I could get through it somewhat peacefully. But I mean, all the pressure you bring on yourself, they're just always assessing. They would just walk, like in the middle of the night, they'll walk through the barracks, like when you're bedding down. And then they flip out a notepad. They just look at guys because you're only wearing roster numbers, and they just write stuff in a notepad. But come to know, sometimes they're just writing random shit. But it makes you nervous. It makes you super nervous. And so all the pressure. It's like, look, just accomplish the task that's at hand. And if you don't understand what you're being told to do, ask somebody. And if what was it? A really famous NCO told me this when I was a young private. Do what you got to do. Be where you got to be. And if you don't know, ask somebody. If you take that slogan or those terms of like, you could be the fucking president doing this shit, it's really crazy. It's really simple when you think about it. But but the pressure came from within.
Okay. So next stage was Robin Sage, is what you said, right?
Yeah, Robin Sage, and it was really, really crazy because in Robin Sage, we had the same, they called it like an IODA, and it's basically you're with the same group of guys, you had your Bravos, your Charlies, your Deltas, and Yuccas, but the Deltas get interjected because they have a 2-year medic course they have to get through, and it's the most insane course that any medical professional can go through in 2 years. And the guy that was attached to us, that was in my IODA, was Ron Schur. And if you look up Ron Schur, he was just recently awarded the Medal of Honor, and he passed away.
Wow, okay.
So, it was an honor to have him at the time. But at the time, like, he just always pissed me off, because he was this guy that had shitty field craft, and I was this infantry dude. But at the same time, looking back on it, like, it was an amazing opportunity to have with him, as he journeyed through his life. And because he went to 3rd group, I think, and then that's where he got the Medal of Honor and everything. So it was an honor to know him, kind of a side story. But so after Robin Sage was language. And I had 6 months to get to a certain level of French to be able to rewrite and speak French.
Did you were able to choose which language you wanted?
No, it was chosen for me. And to believe it or not, my first MOS that they picked was 18 Delta to be a medical guy, and they picked a 1st group for me and Mandarin Chinese. And I said, "You guys, man, you must got me like confused with somebody else, And so I went and begged the lady that was controlling the assignments. I took her some flowers, and I was like, "I need you to get me to 110,
Okay, I understand.
And and then she did. So I was 110, 18 Bravo, French. And that was my deal. So after language, was graduation, and then I graduated, donned the Green Beret. Now the Q course is completely different, and they actually get awarded the Green Beret at a different time of the course. So like we got the Green Beret like when you had to be finished with everything. Yeah. And then the donning of the beret. Then once you got your beret, you go off to your unit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how did you feel receiving the Green Beret?
Yeah, it was pretty powerful. It was probably the same feeling like getting the Ranger tab.
Okay. But this is comparable. And, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like that. Okay, you climbed another rung on the ladder. You know.
I see.
You're getting higher and higher.
And so,
but yeah,
how was it then coming to your unit? Because that's something now is getting through a little bit more, because I still believed, or that you're all what you say, like it's a brotherhood and we all stick together. And perhaps it's in the backbone of some special forces that a lot of alpha guys, like really tough guys, best of their traits, come together, which can lead to a lot of friction, especially in this unit. Yeah. And how was it for you then going to your unit, feeling so proud, and then perhaps coming on and they say like and you're again a rookie.
Yeah. So I knew I was pretty good at, once again, reading social environments. I knew I just had to eat the humble pie, and I had to prove myself again because, look, it's cool you had this like infantry background or whatever, and you got a Ranger tab. But as soon as you step in the team room, nobody gives a fuck about any of that. All they care about is if you're a good team guy or not. And I had to learn that dynamic. But I knew just keep my mouth shut. Lead by example. Hey, if we're doing like physical fitness training, like be the fastest, be the strongest. If we're doing some kind of like fighting or shooting, like be the best at everything, because actions are louder than words, and we all know that. And then, it just got to the point, there'd be some guys talking shit. I mean, these guys were older dudes for the most part. They've already been on the team for quite a while. They had quite a bit of experience behind them. But you got to think, like deep down inside, I also worked with SF guys, during the invasion. But I'm not going to go airing all that out. If they ask me, I'll tell them. But I was just in receive mode, But because of my experience, my team sergeant, he made me the senior Bravo on the team. I was at E7 then, and he's like, "Hey, you're the senior Bravo." So I was like pretty intimidated taking on the role of senior Bravo.
What is the senior Bravo? Is it the team sergeant or?
No, so the senior Bravo is basically responsible for training, and writing up some of the training. They're like responsible. So like when you're in the rear in garrison mode, we do a lot of like S3 functions. So writing up or helping the team sergeant, with training concepts, running down ammo, getting the guns inspected, all this stuff. So, and then helping out with the training plans. And then we go out to the range in the field, like we conducted mostly all the weapons training and stuff. So when it came to that, but yeah, so he was an amazing team sergeant, Ray Gukeisen. He was also a vet. Now, he jumped into Panama, so he had a muster stain and I had one. So it was like this secret, like infantry bump, because he was also an 82nd, and literally like your team sergeants are shaped by their military career as well. So if you got a hardcore infantry guy growing up, and then he makes it to team sergeant, his leadership style will be more infantry-esque or more Ranger-esque.
I see. I understand.
But
you can be very quick about it. But I'm interested. Did you had any? And I ask it this way. I ask it this way: did you had any bad officers in special forces? Like, would you ask this? Because it's interesting for me. Like,
100%.
You hear a lot of the NCOs, and in Germany we have a strong German army is very strong influenced by well trained NCOs, and we have a lot of respect for NCOs. And still being an officer, you know, I look at this and there's this one guy, and the team leader is a captain, right? Or ODA.
Yep.
So, and I still imagine they can't be idiots, but they can be perhaps assholes. Let's put it that way. And so did you had some bad ones, and then perhaps did you had some good ones?
Yeah, so I look at it two ways. Like, I don't care if, like, personally, if the guy's personal skills are off, but he's a damn good leader, I could deal with the personal, weirdness, I guess you could say. But if the guy was like just off on both, you know, it makes it very difficult for the dynamic of the team. I was very fortunate. The team leader, my first team leader I had, he was an amazing guy,
okay, cool.
and he really cared about the guys. He always cared about the welfare of the guys. Him and the team sergeant had a really good relationship. If the team sergeant and the captain, and don't forget about the warrant officer, why they throw 3 leaders on a 12-man team, I don't know. I think it's stupid. I don't think the warrant belongs on an ODA, but you know, there's a balance, and it's kind of like an old school thing. But if these 3 guys are in balance, mainly the team leader, but the team sergeant really runs the team. You know, the team leader, he's only there for like a year, maybe 2 years, and then he's gone. And the warrant officer was like a guy that he either didn't make team sergeant or wants to be an officer. He's always in this like weird chameleon phase, you know. We always call him the Illuminati. But yeah, they had a great relationship, and I was very blessed with this. Because the team dynamic was awesome.
Okay, really cool.
You know, they really fostered, like, you know, being a team, because like I said, if you don't train together, if you don't shoot together, if you don't like go to the gym together or even eat breakfast together, you're not a team, man. Like, a team does all that shit together. Cool. And they were awesome. But I did have a really shitty warrant officer. And he came to us right before a Mali trip, and then also in one of the trips to Afghanistan. And, he was a total piece of shit. Total cowarded out. I mean, he knows who he is if he ever listens to this. I would love to say his name, but I don't think it's professional or, he was a total piece of shit.
Put the good things in the world, and the bad things, they find the way. Okay, so really
absolutely.
Good. Okay, so I'm tempted to talk about all the things you've done in Special Forces, but if you would pick like one highlight from the rest of the career, what would it be?
Oh man,
it's hard. I'm sorry, but yeah.
Almost 20 years of being a Green Beret, and it was all in 10th group. So what was the most magical moment that I can remember on a good side or bad side?
Let's make both.
Okay. I would say the worst day in my Special Forces career was August 8th, 2008. I still remember this day to
August 8th.
To 2008. Really crazy firefight that we got into. We took 2 casualties. They didn't die, thank God, but it was just a long day. And that was a true mental grit of facing bad guys, returning fire, shooting guys, dropping dudes, running out there in the middle of the open, to get to your buddies. And it was just a long day. And it was just like anything that could go wrong, everything went wrong. I mean, it was pure chaos. It was fucking stress to like the 10th degree, but I learned so much from that. So that was the bad, but there was a lot of good that came from it with the lessons learned. We could talk about that some other time, mainly the warrior mindset and what kind of mindset you have to have when you are facing bad guys, and what it really takes to engage in combat, the mental toughness you have to have for this. It's just something, you can only experience it like when you're there,
Yeah,
because everybody reacts different. But if you train them properly, you can get the guys to act the same way.
Okay. So thank you for sharing this, because that's
Absolutely.
a deep, personal.
Oh yeah, man. I can get really deep. I can get deeper than that if you want. But I would say one of the greatest moments was when I got to be a troop sergeant major at C-110 for the SIF.
Yeah.
And that was some of my biggest, greatest memories. Like I was surrounded by guys that would just do anything. Yeah. And we had Navy, we had Air Force, and it was just to have this group of guys that you could just snap your fingers, and they would just execute. They would just execute the mission, and they would just do it the best they fucking could.
And, so that's just like being, like everyone imagines would be like being in the army, like being professional. Yeah. So if you have to experience, I know this from, just training, but if you have a well-trained platoon or well-trained, and you see that the missions you're giving are executed because they know what you're doing, it's the best feeling in the world, because you don't have to do anything as a leader. You just say like, do this, do that, or roger that, and they do the stuff. Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Really cool.
And you know why? Yeah. A lot of that, I'll just share this with you really quick. A lot of that influence, like how to be a absolute fucking professional in the CT realm, right? Because we would get those little bit of engagements with Big Brother, with Delta. Like those guys were the pinnacle. Like, hey, you want to know what being a pro is like? You go over and you work with those guys, do a couple exercises, earn their respect and earn their trust. That's some next level shit, and we achieved that.
Okay.
For those guys that give me a handshake and said, "Hey, the boys did good," that means the fucking world to me.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. But again, like working with Delta, are they guys? Because we have a development here in Germany that even like mediocre special operation forces dudes look down to infantry, kind of. Is there is there something? Is there a looking down, or is it more like, come to my level, or if I need you, we will be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from, but the Green Beret, for the most part, doesn't think like that, because we have to be like the masters of making friends, because we're nobody without like people to work with. But at the same time, there are some guys, that haven't checked their own ego.
That's what I'm talking about.
I have a whole nother like podcast we could talk about, like the ego and keeping it in check. Like what I'm currently doing right now with this fast, I just passed 100 hours of fasting.
That's what. We talked about it before.
It's fucking insane. But what I'm trying to say is, with these guys looking down, they're like inside, they're probably like, I'm a Green Beret and you're just some dude. But for them to actually act like that, like physically, to where they can see it, they don't do that. There's a couple guys, but it's an ego thing, and honestly, I think it's balanced pretty good with a Green Beret for the good ones.
So, as I said before, we could talk like hours and hours about your life, and it's really interesting. Yeah. So, thank you very much so far.
Yeah, this is awesome, man. Yeah. This is great chatting with you about it.
Now let's keep it a little bit profane, but it's still interesting for me or for us, for the audience, because you're working for the Black Trident Academy right now, and and they are gear related. So, and before we get to the academy, how important, because you make videos like how to prepare your helmet and stuff like that, and you teach it.
Yeah.
And how important is gear for you?
Oh, man, I'm probably one of the most OG gear dudes, because I watched that whole evolution from the LCE to what it is now. Yes. So it's extremely important, because I was always about being light, being comfortable, and being practical, and efficient, of course. But I was always changing my shit to make it just seamless,
This is something which I really when I hear stories like this, like, you know, when I watch from these I get now. Oh, people will get pissed off. Like the guys from the Delta guys from Syria back then.
Mm-hmm.
They rigged the M65s, made kind of smugs out of it, or some people take the jungle boots, which I think are the best boots on the ground, but they are heavy, and they shorten them. They put on some. They bring them to the next shop and they make tennis shoes out of it, but stuff like this.
Get the shanks ripped out
and
absolutely,
and everything,
the Vibram soles.
and like improving, because I'm more, I'm normal infantry guy, sometimes I'm like, okay, I train my body to use the things I'm issued, and the other approach is, no, I make my gear that it fits what for me is the best. And I love this attitude, and still, I have a friend, and he's also a German Special Forces, like KSK, and he said to me, like, of course we have all the cool stuff, but if you give me the oldest shit, I will fulfill my mission, because this is my mindset. Yeah, and this always sticks to me, and I, still being a gear guy, and I'm interested in, like, how can I make my plate carrier better and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
In the end, it's you. It's the guy wearing the gear, but still, okay. Gear is also fun. So, do you have some favorite gear? So let's. I ask you like questions, and you can tell me, just pretty random. So, do you have a favorite pistol? First of all, starting with weapons.
Oh man, for the time being, for right now, yes, I do. Yeah. Just because I know this pistol in and out, I would say the Glock 17. Okay. I've been shooting it for so long. It hasn't ever failed me. It's a solid gun. Okay. So yeah, the Glock 17.
Simple, but it's working. Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Talking rifle.
Yeah, I would say just anything with a bolt impingement, anything like with this kind of platform. If we were trying to be very specific, I'm a very contingency guy, so it's like, hey, what's the end-all be-all rifle? Actually, the end-all be-all rifle is a 14.5 6-arc DDF from Noveske. That thing, anybody can be a damn sniper. Yeah. But that's the ultimate thing. But 6-arc, hard round to find. Black Trident's working on getting Noveske to everybody. Yeah. But the thing is like, for me, I'm always a big fan too of anything in 11.5 inch. Yeah. But like with a good barrel on it. The Noveske chainsaw is pretty good. But I have right now the Geisley Super Duty. I really like that. 11.5 inch is just a sweet spot. Okay. I can tag targets out to 300 meters, and everything in between. It's just easy because I got to carry it. I can throw a can on it on the end, and it's still an easy barrel length, where I can still manipulate it. Yeah. I like that gun. I gravitate to anything that has a bolt impingement, a good trigger on it, and just something sturdy.
So, quick note: what do you think about the G36, like the German rifle?
Yeah, I actually shot it quite a bit, and it's a nice platform. The H&K, man, it's a solid platform. Yeah. I mean, for an army rifle, it's great.
It is, because that's always what I say. Because there was a lot of hate about the G36, but in the end, if I take it from the armory and give it to a random guy in the streets, he never shot, and I said like, you put this in your arm and you look through this. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he can shoot something from 100 meters away. So. It's easy to learn.
It's an infantry rifle, man. It is, absolutely, 100%.
Okay. What's your take on knives? Are you a knife guy, or is it like, I need to have one, or?
Yeah, I always carry a sock P dagger, but I have one of the original ones from Spartan Blades when they first came out. When Greg Thompson ran that actually went through the instructor course,
and then Benchmade took it over, right? It's like
Benchmade did. I think there was something going on there, but the overall idea and the thought process behind it, I think it's brilliant. But favorite knife, I am a big fan of the Yarbrough, just because that was issued to me. But I'm also a really big fan of axes.
I see.
The Winkler axe, man. You can't go wrong with that. There you go.
I don't have a Winkler axe.
You start swinging an axe around, man. But people will fucking start thinking twice about what they want to do.
You know, I have it here.
Oh yeah, okay, okay. Right, okay.
I totally understand. Is it more like? Do you really use it? If you have it, or
the Winkler axe I've used, but not like on somebody, you know. Not, or
but more like
most
a tool,
of it's just
like a tool.
As a tool, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, really cool. I love the design. It is Winkler knives.
And
my friend Sasha, we talked about like knives, and I haven't heard of Winkler knives, and I had a look at it, and this was like, I need to have one because they are so beautiful, so intense.
Absolutely.
And the axes, the tomahawks are the same. Really cool.
Yeah. I had a Winkler dagger as well, from Coast to Coast when they did a special run on their daggers. But the big thing that I love about the Winkler products is the man behind it. Dan Winkler, he's an amazing individual. Cool. And the shit he does, like the quality of that is put into those knives and axes, it's unmatched, man. Really cool. He's just on another level. Yeah.
Talking folding knives, is there something you prefer, or is it just like
I used to like the old Applegate.
Applegate Fairbairn.
The Fairbairns. Yeah, Applegate. It was made by Gerber. Yeah. It would flip out. It was like a double edge. You know, that one was pretty cool. And a folding knife on a Gerber is good too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I love talking about shit like this. It's the small things, but still,
absolutely,
and especially like your personal weapons or your knife, you carry it all day long, like so you have it all the time with you. So, but what about clothing? So, because that's also something which separates some units, and if you see it, it's like I love it. Is it something which is important for you, or is it like, hey, give me whatever is comfortable and I will do the job?
No, I would say definitely functionality. And what I mean by that, I'm really big on the quality of the material, right? And how it moves. Because you're in that thing, you could be in that thing for just a couple hours or a couple days. So that to me is extremely important. So
do you prefer like a lot of synthetic? Like I feel now it's motion more into like tweave material, like more soft shell material. Of course, depending on the environment. Or do you still like, if you're in a hot environment, like cotton or something like that? Or is it more technical, or what do you prefer?
When we talk cold environments, it has to be wool. No matter what, it has to be wool. I did so much trips in Sweden dealing with that. But now talking about just like an everyday combat uniform, the material that the old BDUs was like the summer type material, and the ripstop, and it seemed a little bit thinner than because it seems thicker nowadays. But that's my favorite material to make a uniform with. So I do like the Cry G3s. I was a big fan of those. And Tyr made some the Huron. They made some hot weather pants, but actually Plat Attack right now. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of them. Yeah. And some of the Norarm products are pretty good.
Really cool.
Especially,
All right. Yeah. Favorite Kydex company.
Oh yeah, that's easy. Black Trident, 100%. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And now, I'm so smart sometimes. Okay, so now let's get to Black Trident. How did you met Wolfgang or the company, and how did you made the decision to come here and work with them in the academy?
Great question. So the whole main intent for me to work in Europe was my daughter. My daughter's in Czech Republic. Okay. I wanted to be close to her, just to be, more in her life and everything. Now that I have a chance to give back. So I did hear of an idea like, hey, a mutual friend that a lot of us know, he was working over in Glock. He's running the training company over there. And I contacted him. Small talk, and basically, hey man, you want to come on to the Glock training team? Absolutely. So I went through the hiring process with one of their VPs there, and then about a year later, everything changed because there was some friction going on with so I don't know the details. I don't really want to air it out because I don't know. I wasn't there. All I know, it just turned into a no. And then I'm like, how do I make it a yes? Because my wife just got accepted to a university here in Vienna, and so I had to do whatever I could. So there was a guy on my former team. He was a Jagdkommando guy. And then he came over and, to immigrated and everything. And he was a Green Beret. And then he said, hey, call this guy. He has a company and maybe something, you guys could work something out. So I called this guy, and that was Rao. But, he had nothing to do with the company.
Yeah. I see.
Yeah, he had nothing to do, but he knew a guy named Wolfgang, right? And he got me in touch with Wolfgang. Okay. And then basically talking with Wolfgang, and, I thought it was pretty cool. I thought he was really interesting individual, just with his knowledge and like with all the products and everything, and then seeing the quality of like the nylon. Yeah. Another guy that used to work there, David, a really amazing individual, especially with the nylon and how I'm thinking in my head, these guys are in Austria and they're making like gear that's comparable to some of the guys in the US. Right. And the thing is like, it's being made in Austria by Austrian people. Yeah. Like that's what was blowing my mind. And the quality and the attention to detail was paramount, So I basically brought up, hey, how I can fit in is help you guys out with some gear ideas or whatever. But the big thing was the academy. And then Wolfgang approached me about coming over to the company, and they helped me out with everything. Cool. The immigration process, everything. And I was really thankful for these guys. They really, really, they were there for me every step of the way, man.
Okay. Yeah. So, and now you're living in Austria.
Yep.
But you're fasting at the moment, so no strudel at the moment. So
no strudel, yeah. Oh man.
So, but okay, you've been abroad for perhaps the longest time of your life, but still, do you?
Yeah, most of my time in the military was spent in Europe. So
adapting is pretty easy. But if there would be like one thing you miss from the United States, what would it be?
My guns.
Oh, really? I see. Yeah, I see.
I miss the ability, riding on a dirt bike, drinking a beer, and shooting a gun at the same time, out in the country.
That's something, and I talked about it like a lot of times. Like here in Germany, me, like being in the military, still being in the reserve, like can do stuff. But I tried to get my shooting license here, and it pissed me off to go to the club shooting from 25 meters and going home, and there's no fun in it. Weapons are weapons. Yep. I get it. But still, if I want to do this hobby, I want to do what you say, like going around with a dirt bike, with an ATV, having some fun. Don't kill nobody, but having fun with guns and enjoying it. And that's something, of course, it's because, we have limited here with space, but still there's something. Okay. So you miss your guns. That's,
I mean,
can you say it? Okay. What would be the most American answer? but still, okay. Really, really cool. So what can we expect from you and the Academy? So is it for everyone? Can everyone come to you and say like, hey, and what would be the things you would teach? What would you train?
So the Academy is only available for government agencies, right? First responders, law enforcement, military. And it has to be like something that you're allowed to train there from your unit. Okay. It's kind of stubborn, and it kind of drives me crazy a little bit because, it's pretty difficult to work with some of the units. It's not that they don't want the training. It's just the bureaucratic, stuff that they have to deal with. And I totally get it, man. I was there too.
But because in the end, let's be honest, they need to pay you. Yeah. So, and that's something.
Absolutely. I have to make a living. I have bills to pay too.
I'm sure. And that's the thing. Like everyone wants to be with the Green Beret and and learn about it. But especially from it is hard. Like if you are in a unit, to say like, okay, I want to do like additional training. Why? We have trainers. Yeah, but here we have a different approach, and then you have all the bureaucracy behind it. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. So Eric, like to basically shed some light, and it's a great platform to talk about. So
please.
Basically, in October, November, like I'm changing my mode of employment with Black Trident. Like I'm still there, you know, to run the academy stuff for the government agencies, but I'll be standing up my own company, Canon Ops. And then with that company, we'll be able to bring this shoot, lift, fight aspect for the civilians.
That is smart. Perfect.
Dude, and Eric, listen, my main mission right now is to bring this gun culture, to bring it to light, to show people it's not violent, to embrace camaraderie, sisterhood, brotherhood, just bringing people together. Like you were saying, everything that you want to do. Hey, we'll create a completely safe environment, but I want people to have fun doing it. And I want them to, like, when they leave, they're like, dude, that was the best experience ever. So I'm creating that right now in cooperation with Halebi, one of the shooting clubs here. And we're getting this team room environment so we can buy, sell, trade gear, do kit workshops, do some YouTube videos, podcasts, you know, whatever, or give you a platform to come down and run some podcasts out of. It'd be really cool, man, to have you down. And then, you know, guys can come shoot with me or do some workouts, you know, and I'm bringing in some of the best, like, people. Like, if I don't know how to teach it, I know somebody that does. And I just want to create a cool environment, man.
Think about it. Having a weekend with guys perhaps you don't know before, but you say, like, okay, we have a schedule, we do some shooting, we do some lifting, we do some field craft, we're going outside, we are enjoying the Alps, we are in Austria, we have imagine this, like, how cool would it be, and what a lifetime 100%. Well, you know, for someone who is a normal guy, who hasn't lived like this, and it not being, you know, comfort still, but, you know, having fun. I think this could be a lifetime experience.
100%.
And you have to invest. It's gonna cost money, but that's the thing. It's a business.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. You know, it's like with this, it's like not only am I like a foreign person, like trying to master that and open up a business. And the thing is like, all I want to do is just help people and create an awesome environment for people to enjoy themselves. But the thing is like, as you're going through this path or this road, all the challenges that get thrown at me on a daily basis, but I just keep this positive mind. Hey man, you know, I've learned a lot being at Black Trident, and I'm learning a lot just growing as a person in the private sector. Because dude, if I could do all this for free, I would totally do it. You know,
I'm sure.
And I don't want to come off like I'm like an arrogant dude. You got to pay me money for training. But the thing is like, I have to make a living. You know what I mean?
Jimmy, I so understand you, because you know, we are, especially being in military, nobody tells you that your training is worth something, or, you know, worth money. In the end, you need to have the money. And still you need to invest, kind of, if you want to have this experience, right? So and I'm happy that we can talk open about this, because money, especially
there's no secrets about it.
And money is, especially here in Germany, is like money. You don't want to talk about it.
And it seems like everybody you talk to, I don't know how much I'm worth. I don't know how much a course. Okay, I look at other companies, but I look at these guys training, and I'm like, I don't want to talk shit, but I'm thinking I have a different approach. And listen, there's some other companies here. And the other idea is not only to it's to embrace these other companies, like with these shoot, live, fight programs. So I don't want to be in competition with anybody. If anything, I want to bring them in the circle. You know what I mean? Because there's some fantastic guys out there, and I love shooting with them because I'm learning stuff from them, and they learn stuff from me. But
that's something I learned from ePIG, from Martin and the guys here. That they really think it is a small community, and bringing people together is much easier than tear them apart.
Exactly, 100%.
But there will be some competition. It will always be, but still.
Absolutely, and I'm always ready for it. You know, but at the end of the day, it's like I'm a 46-year-old man, and it's just like, I'll still send it. You want to go to competition? Let's do it. You know,
cool.
but it's just keeping that positive mindset.
And you're a really humble, cool guy, and
try to be.
So
man.
that's
awesome.
Be. So let's make. And I think then we wrap it up. But I prepared like a little. It's not a game, but this like overrated, underrated. I just throw some things at you, and you just say like overrated, underrated. Okay, just really quick. Okay. Let's start with half-cut helmets.
Half-cut helmets.
It's fast.
Underrated.
What?
Underrated.
Underrated. Okay, so you still like it? It's like half-cut helmets.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about smogs? Like British multi-pocket smogs?
The schmogs, underrated.
Underrated. Okay. See.
Yeah.
Same area. What about belt kits?
Belt
kits, like military belt kits, like not chest rig, not plate carrier, but belt kit, like the old LC or
underrated. 100%.
They're coming back, right? So there's yeah. Okay. Big rucksacks. I'm talking about 110 liters. Overrated, underrated.
Man, underrated.
Okay. So you still think that rucksacks is a thing, especially for light infantry?
Oh yeah, living out of it for 72 hours, 100%.
Okay. We had it, but I still am asking. Fighting knives?
I would say like overrated because anything could be a knife. You can use your magazine and smash somebody up.
All right. M81 Woodland. Overrated, underrated?
I would say overrated.
Really? You're not the old school guy? You love?
I mean, it's cool, but like multicam's pretty badass.
Okay. I see.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Then we stay in this direction. UCP camo.
UCP?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say overrated.
Yeah. You had it quite a bit, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And did you hated it, or was it like?
You're talking about the ACUs,
right?
Yeah,
but it's the UCP.
Okay.
The gray
overrated,
ones.
Burn it at the stake. I hated that shit. I'm not trying to, blend into a fucking gravel parking lot.
Yeah.
Man, that was all General Shinseki at the time.
All right.
Yeah, everybody was really pissed about that shit.
I'm sure, crazy. Okay.
But I've seen some of it. It's starting to come back a little bit.
Because people now they color it, or they and then they try to update it, and still I think the cut was pretty good, like the new cut.
Yeah.
But the color, it really sucks.
Yeah, it was, but the Marines did it right with the Marpat stuff.
It looks amazing. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, Cry Precision, what would you say? Overrated, underrated, from clothing perspective?
From a clothing perspective, I would say underrated. I mean, they were the godfathers of the whole stuff, and you got to give them that credit.
Okay.
They really exploded the industry.
All right. Overrated, underrated, Navy SEALs.
Underrated, 100%.
Really?
Yeah, I've worked with them.
Okay.
And I think they're, like I said, a whole nother episode. And I have a lot of respect for those guys.
Okay, that's interesting.
Based on my experience with them. You know what I mean? I had a great experience.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Because, it's subtly, because there are a lot of SEALs out there, a lot of them talking, a lot of them. And sometimes, the feeling can be like, they talk a little bit too much, perhaps. But still, when you say you have a professional... I
mean, I worked a lot with the Navy SEALs on pretty much a lot of the deployments. And, at the end of the day, you could be a SEAL, a Green Beret, or an Air Force, CCT or PJ. But at the end of the day, it's a mindset.
Yeah, I see.
You know what I mean? And it's just like... no one even knew who a SEAL was or a Green Beret was. We just knew we were great fucking dudes.
Perfect.
We were there for each other. So that's the way I looked at it.
Cool, really cool.
I didn't care what badge you wore, what your background was, as long as you were dedicated to the mission and the men.
Okay. Staying in this direction, the German Kommando Spezialkräfte, the KSK. Have you worked with them? What do you think about them?
Oh, I have a lot of history with them. Underrated.
Really?
They're amazing guys. I was actually awarded their Needle of Honor.
Wow.
And that was really a special moment with those guys. I have so many great friends over there. And I cherished all the times we spent with the KSK.
Really cool.
And to keep that relations with 110 is extremely important with me.
Okay, I'm sure. Yes, great.
Yeah.
All right, and the last one, overrated, underrated, and we are coming back. Black Trident holsters.
Underrated. Okay. I would say, yeah. Everybody wants to jump to the Safari Land. Yeah. Hey, just give Black Trident a couple more. There's some things on the horizon. Yes. But I would say just the form, how they can produce these holsters, like totally customizable.
Cool.
It's insane. And the quality of craftsmanship that goes into it and the designing process, it's insane.
And it's made in Europe or in Austria. And this is something
100%. Yeah. None of that's from China. And all some of that Kydex material they get is from America.
Yeah.
It's all top grade shit, man.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. All right.
100%.
Jimmy, this was amazing. Yeah. Thank you.
Hell yeah, Eric.
So much.
Yeah, buddy.
And as I said, perhaps we, if we would be like on a paper, so from your whole life, we perhaps covered just a millimeter.
Too much. Yeah.
But thank you so much for this insight, for your honesty, but
absolutely,
also
buddy.
for being like a humble guy, which
man.
I really appreciate and
no
I
problem.
appreciate your time and so
means a lot.
Thank you so much for being here on the show. And
absolutely.
And we will stay in contact and we talked about it and the plan is that you will come to the studio and we make perhaps an video podcast and then
awesome.
We can improve our relationship and spread the world from your company, from a new company that
absolutely.
Is rising, so that we have some high quality training in the area,
absolutely.
Which would make us all better.
Yeah, buddy. Eric, hey, once again, thank you for having me on.
Yes.
You guys are great people, man, and it was a blast. Right. I had fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, so then have a good rest of the week. So, and we talked about it, 100 hours fasting. When will you break your fasting?
Well, I was actually thinking I've completed the 100 hours. I was thinking about making something to eat, but it's bedtime, man.
So
for me, it doesn't really make sense to eat something, so I might just do it in the morning. Right. That first 30, but the food's prepared, ready to go.
Really good.
Avocado and eggs, man.
So see you. Thank you so much. And we're out.
Okay, buddy.
And
thank
you out there for listening to us. And we see us or we listen
absolutely.
To another in the next podcast. Bye.
Okay. Take care.